Hello, my name is Dr. Paul Healey, Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Principals Association. The recent shootings in Florida has turned up the volume on school safety once again. First, let me say that the Pennsylvania Principals Association sends its condolences to the families who lost loved ones, and we pledge our support for the teachers and administrators in Parkland. Hopefully, this tragedy will finally help us band together to make our schools safe places for learning where no child or staff member is fearful in their setting. No one single solution or single entity will solve this problem, and that is why we are in support of a multifaceted approach, which includes looking at our physical buildings, crisis training for staff and students, community resources, and our policies and practices for school safety and effective school discipline. Principals are the leaders of the building, and in a crisis, people look to them to make the on-the-spot decisions to keep everyone safe while also dealing with an imposing threat. Each situation is unique, and no one is ever fully prepared for this type of situation. Principals are reaching out to their colleagues and others to gather as much information as possible in the event of a threat in the building. Since the Florida incident, questions about protocols to follow, arming staff members, and student walkouts have all been getting a lot of play. We wanted to take some time to address each of these issues in an effort to provide some information and resources to our members. First of all, when there is a potential of an incident in a building, we need to take every threat seriously. Whether that threat comes in from a hotline, from social media, from an overheard conversation between a student, or from a teacher, we need to make sure that school leaders are taking all of these very seriously. As soon as possible, we also need to notify district office personnel and law enforcement. We need to follow our district protocols and procedures. Hopefully, these are in place and have been well understood and articulated to the administrative team. We need to protect potential victims. Sometimes, as you know, there are lists naming some specific individuals that are targeted. We need to make sure that we seek these people out and provide a safe haven for them. We need to thoroughly investigate every incident, and when appropriate, we need to communicate with staff and parents. And last but not least, we need to take action. When something does happen in another school, it is quite normal for people to begin asking questions about their own school. Staying silent as the building principal during these times only fuels increased anxiety and misperceptions. As school leaders, we need to speak out at these times and emphasize that school is safe, and to remind parents and students that school violence incidents are very rare, and that the National Association of School Psychologists reports that less than 1% of violent deaths are school-related. Principals can remind the community that the school has a plan and that procedures have been practiced in the school. While some members of the community may get frustrated because you cannot share specific details about the plan, most will understand and accept that a plan has been crafted with safety in mind and has been reviewed with local law enforcement officials. We need to provide psychological first aid. Even for those not directly impacted by a school incident, the news coverage alone can be very traumatic. It is important to provide avenues for students, staff, and parents to have open conversations to get their questions answered and their fears addressed. This is an excellent opportunity to bring in mental health professionals from the community to support those school efforts. Create a safe space. During these times, it is beneficial to have designated spaces in our schools where staff and students know where to go to just talk with someone. These areas can be staffed with school counselors and other community professionals. Supporting activism in your community. Many people are really frustrated right now with the inaction of our legislators on this issue. Encourage staff and students to voice their opinions and to visit or write their local legislators about how to solve school safety issues. Principals need to acknowledge that students have fears and provide an outlet for them as well. Student walkouts are happening across the country, and it is important not to dismiss the idea that students want to do something and protest. And instead of trying to stop the walkouts, it is best to work with the student body to organize and set parameters around such an event so that students can be heard as well as continuing to provide for their safety. Finally, I want to address the issue about arming school personnel. The Pennsylvania Principals Association is in concert with both NAESP and NASSP on this issue and do not support the idea of arming teachers and principals. Putting more guns into our schools is not the answer. We were trained to teach and to lead, not to actively engage in a gun battle against an individual carrying firepower that is aimed at mass destruction. To expect that school personnel would ever be adequately trained, prepared, and available to respond to a crisis like a highly trained police officer is simply not realistic. Arming school personnel would only provide an illusion of safety and would not make our schools safer places. We know and understand that these are very difficult times in our schools and that principals are faced with making decisions on behalf of those under his or her care. The Pennsylvania Principals Association will continue to provide information and resources to assist our school leaders and ask you not to hesitate to reach out to us if we can provide you with assistance. We have assembled a number of resources you might be interested in looking at on all of these issues. These resources have been uploaded on our website at paprincipals.org. Finally, I want to thank you for what you do every day on behalf of the communities you serve.
Okay, I stopped recording. I'm going to end meeting.